The chat's not going to be flooded.
No, he had a conflict. But I do have his recommendations for consideration.
Oh, for the other side.
That's 3.
Okay, well, it is 3:00 Thursday, September 25th, and we'll call this Lodging Tax Advisory Committee meeting to order. We do have one member missing, that is Chad Carpenter with an excused absence. Other than that, all members are present in the room. I'm going to read our land acknowledgement, and we, the city of Lacey, are on the ancestral land of the tribal people of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually tribe, the Nisqually Indian tribe, and Squaxin Island tribe. We acknowledge and remember those people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated to other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who are still here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that the community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. And with that, I would like to entertain a motion to approve today's agenda and the meeting minutes of our September 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about today's agenda or the meeting minutes from the previous meeting? Seeing none, all in favor of said motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. And our first agenda item tonight is going to be public comment. Looks like we didn't have any written public comment. Is there anybody in this room wishing to address this committee?
Watching. I'm on the LTAC committee in Yale. So we don't have a rubric, so I'm trying to learn how you guys work yours.
Okay, well, welcome. And let's move on to our second agenda item, which is our 2026 funding cycle application review, and our management analyst, Sadie Sigler.
Well, welcome everybody. We are here today to review the applicants for the 2026 lodging tax funding cycle. So as a quick review, as you always do, lodging tax can be used for tourism marketing, special events and festivals, and tourism related facilities that qualify for lodging tax funding. Revenues can support things as listed above for tourism marketing, things like visiting centers, advertising, digital marketing. This committee is very familiar with types of events and festivals that can be funded by lodging tax, including community events, sporting events and tournaments and music festivals, as well as eligible tourism related facilities, including sporting venues, museums, and event centers. As we all know, when visitors travel to Lacey and stay in paid overnight lodging, they pay lodging tax as part of their bill, and that lodging tax revenue is distributed back to the city to use to be distributed to qualifying applicants for tourism promotion activities. So when we have those paid stays in Lacey in the urban growth area, we generate those heads to beds and get lodging tax revenues to redistribute for events, marketing, and facilities. A few minor updates that this committee heard about at our last meeting. The selection and approval of your lodging tax funding recommendations for the Lacey City Council will now be approved independent from the budget adoption. Historically, the Lacey City Council has approved your recommendations as part of the budget adoption itself. And now, starting with this cycle, we'll approve the budget, but then the lodging tax recommendations will be reviewed and approved separately. And that is at the direction of the council, who would just like the opportunity to see more specifically how the revenues are distributed back into the community and what types of funding that you're getting applications for and giving. So this will not impact the lodging tax application timeline or award cycle, just adds a different approval process through the council. And some updates recently, this committee this year elected to designate that recipients can use up to 40% of their award prior to the activities occurring, specifically for marketing expenses to support marketing of the activities prior to when they occur. Additionally, this committee elected to designate 5% up to $40,000 of lodging tax revenues to be dedicated for administrative expenses to the city. This does not include interest earnings or reserves, so this is specific just to lodging tax revenues earned. And then as updated at our last meeting, when there is a potential conflict of interest, if you're involved in an activity for an applicant that has applied for lodging tax money, or have any personal investment or potential conflict, you all know, even for me as a staff person, but consistent with our council policies and procedures, we will make sure that when possible, advisory board members leave the room during that discussion to avoid any potential.
You know what? Remember that band I played with in Yale?
Yes.
The lead singer?
Yeah.
She is the one who puts on Funk Fest.
Yeah. Right.
So I might have to accuse myself of Funk Fest.
Yeah.
They gave me those guys. They need a drummer to fill it. I don't know if that.
You can certainly
That
take a look at that.
qualifies.
We'll let you know, but thank you for that information.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that largely recognized conflicts of interest would be any financial gain, donation directly to the event, sponsorship of the event. Ruth, as an example, is a representative of the Lisa Spring Fun Fair, so she recuses herself from discussions and decision making for that. So
So I think you're okay.
Yeah, Ruth was there.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I saw you.
so
Oh, that's mom up there.
I
and
got to mention that part of my life.
Yeah.
well, thank you for sharing. So committed to the community at all times. These updates, as we know, are administrative. They have no impact on award or applicant eligibility or the award selection process, strictly administrative impacts. And then a refresher on some framework for funding decisions. This committee is, when possible, decided to try to make recommendations for awards no less than $5,000 to help balance out awards of meaningful value and balance the cost of hosting activities. This committee has also decided to, when possible, consider a maximum award of $25,000 for tourism-related facilities that are located outside of Lacey. Again, these are guidelines that are discussed and at the discretion of the committee may be adjusted. With that, we will take a look at the actual applicant requests for this funding cycle. So you can see up here kind of the comparison between the 2025 application cycle and the 2026 application cycle. This cycle, there were 28 applications. This includes the extended applicant period. So this is reflective of all applications received. The total funding request was $966,719. As you can see, and our finance team updated earlier this year, our revenues are estimated at $587,500, which does leave a budget gap of about $379,219. Noting that this gap is just asks versus revenue. That does not include our reserves or interest earnings. So that's just kind of the gap there. And you can see up here the breakdown of applicants by category. So pretty substantial amount of requests, slightly higher than last year's requests as well. And then taking a further look at a breakdown of applications, community-based applications versus applications that the city of Lacey has submitted for facilities, events, and activities. So you can see here, this year, 22 applications were submitted by community organizations. 6 applications were submitted by the city of Lacey for qualifying activities. And there you can see that roughly breaks down to 69% of the applications came from the community, while 31% were from the city. As you can see up here, the city only submitted applications for special events, festivals, or tourism related facilities. No tourism applications were submitted on behalf of the city. So just kind of a breakdown on how that looks in the applicant pool. Additionally, we have some estimated participation impacts. This is the number that applicants provide when in the application they provide the total number of participation, overnight stays, and all of that information. You have seen when we are looking at this information, what I have done, and you'll see in the next few slides, is displayed information for events and festivals and tourism related facilities only. That is because our tourism marketing applicants often have a overlap in estimates because the marketing that they do markets activities and events that receive funding. So oftentimes the number of estimated participants that marketing applicants put in their application is reflective of the same number of participants our other applicants already have. So they are broken out independently, but you can see up here the estimated paid overnight stays, kind of the breakout by category. So of the total estimated paid overnight stays, 22% for the applications is generated from tourism marketing. And then the remaining between tourism related facilities and special events and festivals. I did want to note though, overall from all of the applicants this year, Experience Olympia and Beyond, who is the only tourism marketing applicant, did show that they were one of the 5 highest estimated overnight stays of all of the applications. So right here, we can kind of see by category, again, a breakout. The blue lines are the total estimated participants for all of those categories. And then the gray is the ratio that are estimated to have paid overnight stays. So consistent across the board, there are largely more overall participants estimated than overnight stays. Looking at the overall participants, what we have displayed up here are the 5 applicants who had the highest estimated overall participants in the tourism related facility category and special events category. Again, removing that tourism marketing due to potential overlap. In the tourism related facility applicant category, there were 7 applicants and the total estimated per applicants is 970,500. Then we had 20 applicants in the special event and festival category, which are projected to have overall participation of 485,769 total participants. So, and the next slide, similarly, this is the information on the 5 applicants who have the highest estimated paid overnight stays in the special events and tourism related facility applicants. Same number of applicants, but the total projected number for paid overnight stays from tourism related facilities is 18,423. And then in the special events category, 18,282 estimated paid overnight stays from all of those applications. Yes, that's estimated paid overnight stays. And then just to recap the 2024 cycle, again, we don't have the 2025 data because the 2025 funding period is still currently active and we don't have all that information back. But to the left, you can see the dark green is the estimated participants, and then the lighter green is the actual reported overall participants at the end of the funding cycle. Each year, all of our applicants must provide this information about participation as part of their reporting requirements. So you can see how these lined up. Similarly to the right, we have the same breakdown, but for the estimated paid overnight stays versus actual reported paid overnight stays. One thing that is notable is during the 2024 cycle, we had different resources available for data tracking. So you will see throughout the years, including this year, far less discrepancies in variables between estimates and reported, and there has been substantial market changes in resources for applicants to use to track their data, such as the addition of geofencing. So as applicants apply more, they have more readily available and accurate attendance data.
So then Lacey Chamber Visitor Center, there's not a block there. So
They had 30. Yeah. The one problem with the chart is sometimes, no matter how big you make it, it just doesn't show. But yes, so
Okay.
estimated 500 actual reported was 30, and this is for the Chamber's Visitor Center specifically.
So some one pretty did pretty good.
Yes, they did have it.
That was one that we kind of took a chance on. To see how they would, you know, we didn't give them the full amount, but that's pretty good. You know, in soccer too. Was Goalie Soccer, was their first time last year?
No,
I think it was year before.
I believe
yeah.
it might have been 2023.
Yeah, I think they put Lacey Hotels on their website. Because we grilled them in the meeting, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, no, we'll put some Lacey Hotels on there. It's 150 stays for a concert, it's pretty good.
Where was the South Sound Block Party?
I believe that's held in downtown Olympia.
It's at the port,
Oh.
it's kind of like, you know, a sunset type situation.
So next is kind of looking at our applicant interviews and considerations with the goal of this meeting being for this committee to recommend applicants to come back for supplemental interviews if needed. So looking at some recommendations for presentations, the recommendation would be to have up to and no more than 10 applicants come for presentations with a 7-minute period to provide a presentation to the committee and 5 minutes for questions and answers. During our applicant presentations, we ask that no physical materials or swag be used or distributed because we need to be able to maintain public records. Additionally, presentation materials are optional. This is not a requirement for applicants who come in. This year, the city will provide any applicants who are requested to come in for interview a template slide deck, and that is just to help make sure that our presentation materials are accessible and visible when having remote meetings virtually with Zoom, and then also just to create some consistency. We ask that there are no more than 5 slides total. This is consistent with interviews in the past, and not to have any video content included in those slides. Again, just to improve the quality of our virtual meeting materials. I do have up here the questions that this committee had asked of all of the applicants last year. This committee always narrows down and tries to decide what specifically they would like to ask the interview candidates, and they are all provided the same information to prepare so that the interview process is still equitable and everyone's getting the same information. Last year, there was a variety of applicants that this committee requested to come back. So it was broken out into first-time applicants and returning applicants. And you can see up here the primary questions that you have for those applicants and that they prepare responses to for interviews. So just things to keep in mind when making interview selections. And then my recommendation now, we have 3 slides going over each of the applications, would be to review all of the applicants on this slide and discuss and identify whether you as a committee would like to see them in for an interview, and then move on to the next slide to again review those one at a time. Committee member Chad is on tonight, but he has shared with me the applicants that he would like to see in for supplemental interviews as well. And on this category of marketing facilities and tourism marketing, his recommendation was to bring in Experience Olympia and Beyond for an interview, as well as the Nisqually Reach Nature Center to come in for an interview, just as new applicants to hear an overview of their activities. And his recommendation for Experience Olympia and Beyond was to bring them in for an update and just general plan on how they're continuing services. So that is his shared feedback on these applicants for this committee's awareness.
I agree with him, Nisqually and Experience Olympia, and I'd like to also keeping in same tune with Experience Olympia, the Lacey Visitor Center, Lacey Chamber Visitor Center.
And we said that we were going to try to cap this at 10.
That's the recommendation. This committee can elect if they want to see more people, So we will do a final review of all of the recommendations at the end as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see those 3 as well.
Can we just make it standard that if it's your first time applicant, you have to come in for an interview?
Yeah, that's a good
I
thing.
think we
Yeah,
should just do that right off the bat
right
because
off the top.
we don't know them.
And this year was 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
This year, there are 3 applicants.
Just get them on the books then, for sure.
Who are the 3? The first time applicants this year are the Nisqually Reach Nature Center and then
The soccer.
the Olympia Lacey Fan Zone. And then I don't want to say the South Sound Estuary,
Right. Most of them there's
which is on a further slide.
and multi-day.
Yes. So is there specific information that this committee would like to hear from returning applicants, including Experience Olympia and Beyond and the Lacey Chamber Visitor Center?
Well, I mean, VCB has been a subject for several months now, since they lost their leader, hired a new leader, lost that leader, illegally against the bylaws elected a president, and basically none of that stuff really went through the board. They were doing all in executive committee, so that ship is being righted from the last time that was it last Friday. We were in the 3 cities, being that we had a special meeting at the county, and VCB was present, at least Amy was, and so the mayors are going to go to their next meeting, which is on the 14th, to really help get things straightened out and, reset expectations. And this, when we do these with these applicants, what's our date on those?
The date for interviews?
Yeah.
Is rescheduled to October 9th, and all of the applicants have been updated and notified of the extended application period and the rescheduling of that.
So if we do it on the 9th, that'll be 5 days before their next meeting, which.
they should have a plan, right?
Well, they heard us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it was me, Councilmember Dunning, the commissioners, and the PCB.
And for the purpose of the interviews, I think that questions would be related to their activities that they are applying for and proposing specific to lodging tax. So what would the questions of this committee about their lodging tax proposal be, and kind of remaining in with the scope of that?
All I'm saying is I'm not sure they're going to be prepared to answer questions before the 14th, but if we do have them in,
Well, Deputy Mayor, what I just heard Sadie mention here is again, us focusing on the questions on the LTAC, lodging tax specific side of the application. And certainly they filled out an application and they should be able to answer questions related to that application. And perhaps, one of the questions that I heard is just kind of about, program implementation and updates on activities. And that's certainly something you all have asked before previously, as Sadie just showed on the slide about returning applicants.
I'd like to see a breakdown on how they're spending our TPA funds. I mean, we pay it every month and, I haven't really seen much results out of it. Not since Jeff left, Jeff Bow. Yeah.
Did he leave?
He was in constant contact with me at least, and I'm not sure with the other hoteliers and, kind of let us keep keeping us in the loop basically of what's going on in the area and what they need, what they're expecting to do. And it's just been radio silence ever since he left. So I'd really like to know what's going on and how they're using our funds.
To how they're using the lodging tax funds?
Both. If they can explain the TPA funds as well, I'd really appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I just radio silence. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's not.
and understanding again, for the purpose of interviews related to lodging tax, I think it would be appropriate to ask the, maybe, some budget
Sure.
overall review and stuff.
A financial statement. I mean, it's one or the other. Be great.
That's something we can look into, but again, keeping in mind that the interviews and the questions are specific to lodging tax funding and proposed activities of lodging tax. So it would be appropriate to inquire about financial sustainability, which is one of our application questions and kind of their intention. But as far as requesting specific financial reporting and documents, I think that would be outside of the scope for lodging tax. Certainly, the intended use of lodging tax funding would be an appropriate question. Financial sustainability, which is something this committee has asked applicants and did last year, is kind of what's your sustainability plan to continue to offer activities, would be, I think, within the scope of lodging tax. But maybe what I'm hearing is just how is the program continuing to be implemented? What is the financial sustainability plan and plans for community communications or services?
Sure.
And we can review again if something else comes up, but
Yeah,
just.
bring them in.
Who's leading TPA right now? Or the VCB? Nobody.
They're looking for an interim.
Our
Oh,
current,
There's 3 names that are out there.
Okay.
and they have provided an updated contact as far as the application. So they have a communication with us and make sure that their application is up to date and that we have a current contact who can be reached to discuss and come in if needed. So.
Sure.
And- I just would say, committee member too, we heard your question and that's certainly something we could get you a staff contact in case
Yeah.
you want to ask them
That
any
was actually
questions, but not specific to the
Yes,
lodging tax
thank you.
application.
Totally got it. But Shannon, would you happen to know when the next TPA meeting is
We
or
can,
VCB meeting?
we can get you that contact information and you can make
Okay.
sure that we
We'll
can.
do it that way. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yes.
absolutely.
On 14.
14?
And then in general, just a program update, overview and intention with the Nisqually Reach Nature Center, who is a first time applicant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know much about it. I've heard people say they've been there, but that's about as far as I know.
Excellent, I will do that. And then any specific information or updates that this committee would like to hear from me in the Lacey Chamber regarding the visitor center?
Yeah, last year they lost their ED.
Yeah.
They've been sustaining since then.
So similar.
But I just,
Sorry.
because I've been hearing things out in the community that they're really not open from 9 to 4, so how are they covering that? Because I think that's part of their contract, right?
The outdoors open.
Yeah,
I don't know about their.
Their current
Yes.
services that they
Right.
applied for was to operate the visitor center, yes.
Yeah.
So similar to the VCB questions about program implementation and administration. Any other applicants in the marketing and facilities category for discussion? through go on to special events and festivals. We do have 2 pages to review, 20 total applicants, and we'll start with the first 10 applicants on this page, none of which are first-time applicants, just for awareness.
So, quick question, so all these ones that say Lacey, they're not necessarily city.
No, so this column right here says located in Lacey, and that is reflective that the applicants have indicated on their application that their activities are occurring inside Lacey.
No, that's not what I mean. So just because it says Lacey Polyfest, it's not a city event.
Correct,
Lacey
so
Cultural Celebration, is that a city event?
yes, so what we have is kind of the activity name and then the organization name. So you'll see Lacey Polyfest is hosted by the Polynesian Association of Thurston County. The Lacey Cultural Celebration is a City of Lacey event, so that's how those are displayed up there.
So, the Polyfest, I noticed they said 2 days, but I think they've only been 1 day.
Yeah.
Are they going to 2 days?
Well,
Others?
I don't know, because I saw that, there was another one who said that they were going to do a Friday night. And I think it was
That's,
South Sound Block, or no, barbecue. So they're gonna start
Yeah.
opening on Friday night, at least that's what it said in their application this time.
Yeah.
I've gone to help set up Polyfest on a Friday. But that doesn't mean that,
Yeah.
I don't remember that they were,
They said 2 days.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I read that.
And it is up here to the frequency of the activities as listed on
Right.
the
Oh, yeah, there
application.
it
So
is.
they did indicate on the application this year that it would be a multi-occurrence event, meaning that it's multiple days in a row or multiple independent events. One example being Ole Soccer is a multi-day because of the nature of those activities.
their budget was up, so maybe they are doing a Friday and Saturday now. I'm gonna ask them.
I'm hearing that this committee would like to bring in
What do you guys think?
Polyfest.
Yeah, definitely.
I put them down there for right now. If we get over 10, then
That would be asking about an update and
Because-
expansion of activities is what I've heard.
because the other thing is they're asking us for the exact amount that their budget is too.
Polyfest?
That's
I
what-
thought their budget said 13.7.
And they're
Oh, then
asking,
they are, yeah, they are asking 13.7.
yeah,
So also questions regarding the financial sustainability of the activities.
yeah, because how can they put it on?
That's-
That's what I'm doing.
You go back to the previous slide.
Yes.
That's just those three.
Other applicants displayed up here that this committee has discussion, questions.
For some reason, I don't really remember Cascade's national championship tournament. I remember when the 105 came through.
The Cascade National Championship Tournament was also listed last year as the USSSA
Oh,
tournament,
yeah.
which is
yeah.
the state, I will abbreviate, softball association multi-day tournament hosted at the RAC. So. And they did, as listed on their, coming in for an interview last year as they were a first time applicant.
1,700 paid stays. For 10 grand.
That's good ROI.
That's bargain right there.
The Lacey Cultural Celebration, that's been going on for a long, long time, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to be in Olympia.
Oh,
They
and they
gave
brought it
it
here.
to us
Okay.
years ago.
As
Have I been on here too
As
long?
you might-
No, you gave great background and context. It's absolutely
Yes.
true.
I have attended the cultural celebration
Yeah, me
as
too.
has Shannon.
And that
Honestly,
might be
nothing.
one that might get funding from the, well,
We do have an update on
Oh,
proposed
yeah.
other grant
Okay.
programs later today
Yeah.
as well, but
Okay.
this is a qualifying
Yeah.
example, so we will touch on that.
Yeah, a lot of these we see like every year. I don't know if the senior games. have come.
okay, so they say on their application, a single day. Now, they're not. Senior games.
They applied as a multi.
Yeah, this is multi on there.
Well,
It
this
says
application says single.
Oh, did
Within the,
you dock them 20 points for that?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Well, I can only score based on what their application
know.
says. But at the ACB, one meeting I was at, these bring the most visitors into, the senior games bring the most
Yeah.
overnight stay
You gotta
and
be honest.
visitors in our communities.
I believe it's reflected in the activity overview that they have multiple single day events is my understanding. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you know, a lot of overnight.
I think it's a good catch, and like Cindy
Yeah.
just mentioned, there are certainly multiple events throughout the city,
Yeah, right.
events, including
Yeah.
Rainier Vista, and then also the regional athletic
Right.
complex.
Right,
And they're quick to run around. You know, I stay in your grandkids' room.
plus they have money.
Yeah, they got.
We get a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get a lot of that,
Oh,
the
good,
USSSA and
Yeah.
the senior games.
good, because that's what BCD was saying. Or whatever their name is now.
I didn't see anybody on here that I know what South Sound Block Party does.
Yeah.
I know what Polyfest does. I know about all the city ones and senior games. I'm glad to know that the name for the tournament. And I love how many stays you get out of them. Same with the artesian soccer. And I feel bad for the 105K.
I do too, but it really doesn't.
It does, I know.
No, I know. I gotta rethink how I score
Yeah.
some of these because it's, some of these don't.
There's nobody on there that I want to talk to.
So
Yeah,
from this pool of applicants, I'm hearing to request an interview from Polyfest about expansion and ongoing activities as well as financial sustainability. With that, I move to the next page of applicants, noting that there are first-time applicants on this page, including Meet the Beach and the Olympia Lacey Fan Zone, and indicating also that per the application, Meet the Beach indicated their activities are located in Lacey, but further review shows that they may not be. Additionally,
that's what I have, because I don't even think they're in the UGA.
I-
Have that. Over on here.
They said on their that beach way out north, Lacey.
So Lure Beach is what was on the application.
Yeah, it was
And
there.
we did confirm, and that's why Sadie's put the asterisks on there, that it is outside of the city and outside of the UGA.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're not using that one out on past Edgewater.
Oh, they are too, Tony.
Tommy.
But
Yeah.
Tommy is
That's-
also not in
that's not our
our
UGA,
boundaries or
that's-
our urban growth area.
And then the one to the right of that. Well, I guess. if they're not-
Those were the two that were noted in here, and my question was UGA, and they said it's in Lacey, and it's not,
Okay.
so we need to find out.
for this committee's awareness, the application for Meet the Beach was recommended by Chad as an applicant to consider for an interview, just as a new applicant to get an update from.
I would agree.
And I think one of the things we've identified too as part of this process is including in future application cycles, also a way to look up where you're located. And so we're going to be working on, getting a zoning map tool easily accessible. We have something very similar for our human services grant program. So we'll be making sure to help applicants in the future identify where they are.
Okay. Really earning that 5%. Nice.
So I have
Oh, is that a big or what?
After
Hey,
that,
I didn't know that.
But you were smiling.
to proceed with the Meet the Beach as an applicant for interview, other applications.
Hands on for sure.
Which one?
The fans
Thurston
zone.
County Chamber for the fan zone.
Yeah.
So the estimated paid stays, that's just in general, or is that specifically to Lacey?
They provide the estimates for their activities. So if their activities are in Lacey, they may or might not have a more direct impact. The application and the requirements by the state to provide this information don't require that they estimate if they're in Lacey or not. But
So the best way to find out is usually to go to their website and see what hotels they've designated and got blocks of rooms. And that's what I do.
So for example, the South Sound Block Party, it's mainly maybe it's like 500 rooms instead.
Yeah.
We get the overage rates.
Okay.
One of the things Sadie mentioned too is there are new tools that are coming online that can help, provide better, more accurate information, although, obviously it's a tool and it may not provide exact information, but the geofencing. And so we won't necessarily see kind of all of the applicants working through that progress until the end of this 2025. We'll have different, more accurate numbers because of that geofencing. So just keep in mind right now, it's kind of the best estimate for the applicant. And in the future, we may have a better data source.
So when it comes to the geofencing, I see this way Night Market, they have their own actual geofence little thing set up right in the middle of the situation. How are we going to do that as an entity or?
Sadie, do you want to talk about how that's done?
so currently, the city does not provide geofencing resources for any activities. The VCE historically, in years that they have received lodging tax funding, beginning, I believe, in 2024 was the first year that the geofencing option was available. But when they have received funding from this committee in the past, one of the things they have provided with their marketing services is that they offer free services to our other LTAC recipients, one of those being now geofencing. So to take advantage of the geofencing, which does have limitations as far as the free resources. So if you have an event that's every single day, they don't provide free geofencing every single day. There is a limitation. But what our applicants do is when they are granted awarded funding, part of that kind of administrative and contract process is that they authorize and notify the city, yes or no, if they want to use and work with the VCB for those free resources. And then the city provides the VCB a list of applicants who have opted into that, including their contact information. And then the organizations work directly with the VCB, providing them event information, dates and times, and they set that up. So at this time, that is something that is opt in or out. And that's something that's provided, on a year-to-year basis. If the VCB receives funding, they have historically provided that. That is a resource they did provide as part of their LTAC agreement for this 2025 term. And so I would say.
So make sure we include that in your interview.
Yes.
I didn't see the Olympia Lacey fan zone when I was going through the list of applicants.
It just
They
got
were
there.
just updated, so the extended application period closed on the 19th, and that application was updated on Monday. So that,
See, I missed it too.
Yeah.
I
So
will-
I'll take another look.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
can definitely double check that, but yes, so as far as geofencing, that is a resource for LTAC recipients this year. I believe that was part of the proposed activities from the VCB for 2026 if they receive funding. So that is something case by case. There are often organizations who independently work with the VCB outside of lodging tax for marketing resources. There may also be activities that take advantage of that and have, private contracts and pay for those services, but.
So have we talked about the fan zone?
I
Where
believe
we going?
I believe you
No.
started with the foundation of as a new activity at a baseline, you would like to bring that in just as a new applicant. Is there additional information other than kind of the scope of
Well,
service and?
Yeah, I would kind of like to see how they, because I just was at a concert down at the port. And there's really no seating and it seems like that space is limited and I don't know, is it big enough? Is it a big enough venue for that?
The projected number of people is like 5,000 per event. I don't know that seating is really gonna be something that they're gonna provide a whole lot of
So
in
they,
terms of it's a soccer match.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be beer and food and standing, I guess. We'll get some clarity on it in this next, when David comes in, so it's Shafford's deal. He's leading.
I think when this committee brings in for an interview, certainly asking them to provide an overview of the activities. If that's not answered, we have recommended 5 minutes for Q&As after the interview. So that's something that you would definitely be able to follow up on if it's not clearly indicated in their presentation materials or discussion.
So far, tents, vendors, and screens,
Okay.
and tickets.
And Deputy Mayor, one thing I would mention is it depends on who's planning the event at the port. I have been to other events where there is seating, and so that could be, just something you're, curious and want to learn more information about. But it really depends on who is planning that event. So I've been to a concert very similar to you where you had to bring your own chairs. And then I've been to other events where they had ample seating.
yeah, okay.
It depends on the scope of
Because I just keep
activities.
thinking the wrap would have been much more.
We all.
I mean,
However,
seriously.
it's a 6-week run. Right? And so, and the port is doing their portion in kind, but it would have, from what I understand, it would have disrupted rack operations. In addition to some other things that Shannon can probably share with us.
Yeah, I think, obviously we're still waiting for partners to learn more about kind of what needs to be done for these events. But one of the concerns from the city is the information that we had, and again, we're waiting for confirmation, was that everything needed to be set up during the whole period of time. And so when we're talking about disruptions to services, that would significantly disrupt the rack during its busiest season. I mean, we have tournaments booked every weekend there. So that was certainly a concern of ours of not knowing those details.
Right. And I noticed there would be one day here and then it's 3 days later, there's another one.
Yeah, and we have to leave it set up for those days.
Okay. I'll get on
That's
that.
6 weeks of rack income.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So it's only going to be held at the port if we don't have a Lacey location?
I believe scope of activities, also discussed a component of lead up kind of activities that are held throughout Lacey as well in their application.
Okay.
So there was mention of activities to encourage individuals to visit Lacey specific locations in a scavenger hunt style, I would say, for pre-event activities to earn. I think the application included swag points and things. So definitely, I will confirm that application has been updated. But we encourage you to review because it sounds like there's a multitude of activities.
But when I was reading it, I didn't feel that it was firm. Anything was firm.
As far as the apps,
Activities that would be in Lacey.
I think that's still to be determined. I know just recently with some of the other designated fan zones, they're just starting their process of like how to be considered for inclusion within the app. And so I think that information will come, shortly.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, but we gotta get our money's worth.
Yeah.
Right?
And they do have some revenue projections that maybe they can bring with them.
Other applications for consideration.
Is that 4 new?
6.
So 6 total, but 4 new?
Nice markets though, asking us for 45 and I can't remember what my question was.
They always aim high.
Yeah, and we contract with them. So,
Dipping.
did I say that?
No.
No?
To clarify, reimbursements are strictly monitored, so all of our applicants are aware that they cannot claim reimbursement
Right.
for items
No.
that are.
Yeah, no, it's not, that I just feel like we're giving them already money to operate. So, it's just a lot of money.
How long has that been going on?
This is a newer activity, I believe this is only the second full year, I believe, the third year of operations. The 2025 funding cycle is the first year that they have received lodging tax funds from the city of Lacey.
I'll
It's
make a
just-
note too that the night market itself has been going on for 3 plus years, but this vendor has been doing, this is the second year the vendor has been doing it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like every other Friday night over at the depot, and they bring some really good vendors.
I would see ads about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you must not be on. Oh, are you on social media? Not really. Yeah, I think that's where they push out most of their ads.
Yeah.
And I remember I think it was earlier this year. I didn't know, or I forgot, or whatever. But I drove by and there's a lot of activity. There's tents. There's a Dick's barbecue or hamburger thing set up. Like you could see it from a mile away, and I was like, "What? I'm gonna go get myself a burger." The line was too long,
Yeah.
so I only, I ended up getting a burrito or something or some bao. But it was pretty cool because they had a DJ and then food, and kids are playing on the thing, and it worked out pretty well. It was like I got home, my wife's like, "Take me to the night market." I'm like, "Okay, sure."
I'm in there.
Right.
I was just there.
Right.
Is that the candle maker? Sway? Is it the same person?
No,
No.
Sway is a nonprofit.
Yeah, they're like a
organization.
Oh,
Yeah, they run events.
Okay. Not the candle maker.
I was nowhere, but there was
Does
this
he
lady.
I didn't know
yeah.
there, but
I was gonna say, well,
They said
Sure, my daughter.
Lacey. Yeah.
I was going to say too, I know you said, hey, I'm not on social media, but just as a promotional for other city communication channels, we do have a newsletter that puts out information on the night markets. So if you feel like you want to opt in and be connected with the latest in Lacey, please check out our Lacey Weekly.
yeah, it's
Or our Lacey Life, or Lacey 77 TV, where you can watch the kitten cam. They have an internal.
it's in the water bill.
Pretty.
Is it the water bill?
Well, that's the Lacey Life is in the
That's
water bill, but we have a
Lacey.
digital
But it's
newsletter
also-
as well.
It's digital too.
I like newsletters.
I read it.
And well, your daughter does it, so
and- So I better read it, right?
should. Oh, you know who I noticed was not in the applications this year was the American Lung Association. Or did I miss it?
Oh, the Reach the Beach.
Yeah.
No.
And they have provided an update that they will not be using their 2025 award
Oh.
due to organizational restructuring, so.
Didn't they say last year that they're thinking about moving the location or the starting point or something, but they'll try to come through Lacey?
They were,
Yeah, something like that, right?
yeah, they were reaching out to other cities or something like
Mhm.
that, yeah.
So the activities themselves did not occur this year, and they
Oh, wow.
did provide us administratively an update on that, so.
So the funds that they don't use, are those counted in our current budget?
No, so projections provided by Chelsea previously are based off of revenues and interest. The funding cycle is still currently open, so we do not account for any rollover funds until the end of that funding cycle to make sure there's accurate information. But because the activities did not occur, it would be a safe assumption that at least that amount will be rolled over to future cycles. And any unused funds always just are kept in the lodging tax fund and are available again in the next funding cycle. But as this committee is aware, we do a once a year applications and funding distributions. So those are not redistributed in any other way.
All right, you said you have one more page of this?
Yeah.
Should we bring some?
No, these are quite efficient. So with that, just as a recap, I am hearing as new applicant, we want the Nisqually Reach facility to come in. We would like Experience Olympia and Beyond to come and give an update, the Lacey Chamber Visitor Center, Polyfest, Meet the Beach, and the Olympia Lacey Fan Zone all with questions about new applicants would like just an overview of the scope of activities and plans. Returning applicants, it sounds like there's some consistency in wanting updates just about activity, implementation, and continuation, as well as the financial sustainability. Does that capture everything? And then there's always the opportunity after those presentations for you as a committee for that Q&A session if anything is missing during that time.
I did have one question or comment on the rental.
Yes.
Can you bring that up?
But the question, yes, we can talk about that right now.
I want to show you something,
Oh, pull it up.
please.
I can pull it up. We can review after.
No, it doesn't. You can be a blank one. Okay.
Because it's not readily accessible
Oh,
at
okay.
this time.
So,
I guess is
so
what I'm
okay, so
trying to
just
say.
the bar at the top.
Yes.
Can the bar remain static and the
Oh,
Yeah,
all-
oh, visually
Right.
recent, yes.
Yeah, can we do that? Just like scroll up, scroll down, scroll up, scroll down. And I put the other.
And it's locked, so you can't even do that. But yes, thank you for the recommendation. I will do that, so it's easier for all of you. And as you know, this year, there were some extensions in the application period, so in future cycles, we will likely revert back to one period, one budget tool. I know there were some adjustments in multiple tools this year. So looking at our funding timeline, you can see.
Can I go back? to
Yes.
Some of these, there was several applicants that asked us for almost like within $10,000 of what their budget was. But yet they can say they can still operate. I'm confused
Without
about
us.
that, yeah.
Is there a specific
Notice that
one that you would like to pull up?
Well, I think it's like this one for Chamber Holiday Market. I think they said the budget is 10,000. They're asking us for 7,500. I just wonder, but yet they can fully operate. I don't know. I guess that doesn't make sense.
So are you suggesting that we should bring in people who, if the majority of their budget is dependent upon the LTAC dollars, that we should bring them in?
Thank you.
Say like, how would you do it without us?
And you
Yeah.
do,
can, but-
you do already have the chamber coming in for an interview, so you could add that certainly to the list of interviewees for the holiday market specifically.
And if there are additional questions about.
Yeah.
This committee can have anybody come in, and financial sustainability has been one of the identified questions. So if there are applications that you want to relook at.
Mhm. Well, just kind of, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's the same with the Holiday Fest, you know,
Yeah, 75% of your
Yeah,
budget, how would you do
right.
without us?
right,
And you do have Polyfest coming in for an
Yeah.
interview.
right.
And so I guess the question for you all is, would you like to also add for right now, and I'm sure there could be others, but the holiday market as your seventh?
Yeah, and the barbecue festival. It's the same. See if there's other ones.
Is that
The
the,
Southtown Barbecue Festival.
Yeah, it's good. And it's good.
You know, and when I was a judge,
I was a judge one time too, and I went home, ooh,
oh man, it was painful.
yeah.
Yeah. But you get to find out like who cooks where and where you can buy this stuff if you on a Tuesday night. And I actually got a free jar of barbecue sauce because I was there at the very end, and they were like, "Oh, hey, you want a free jar of sauce?" And I'm like, "Absolutely."
And then this holiday, Lacey Holiday Market, the Sway one, they were asking for 12,000 and their budget is 16. I kind of stood out at me.
Does that make it 8?
make it 9 if you were to move forward with the barbecue festival, the holiday market, and the Lacey holiday market, not to be confused with just the holiday market.
Yeah. Anyway, those are ones that just kind of like
Who hosts the barbecue festival?
chamber.
The Lacey Southern Chamber.
So would the committee like to add those three? And the questions are on,
I would.
Yes.
Sustainability.
Adam,
so I think we have a new total of 9.
Okay, that's good. We're under 10.
Again, this committee has the discretion to exceed the recommended time. Just being mindful of the time commitment for this committee to
so
sit
that's because each one gets 10 minutes
13 minutes, so.
total, right? So
Correct.
plus Q&A.
So the recommendation of 10 puts us just slightly over a 2-hour window for interviews. So if there's more this committee would like to see, that is an option.
No,
And
that's
similar
good.
to previous,
Is that
there will
good?
be a time for breaks and
Yeah.
recess.
We could have recess.
That was.
Time out.
Right.
Time out.
That was the end of the list,
Correct.
yes.
So again, here we are today, 25th. Applicant interviews have been scheduled for October 9th, and all of the applicants were notified of this change already. As a reminder, myself and Shannon will be reviewing lodging tax revenues with the Lacey City Council on October 12th as part of revenue strategy discussion. This discussion and potential feedback may impact the award selection process. So when we return for our October 16th meeting, there will be an update on any recommendations or feedback from the council regarding funding decisions and allocations. As of now, we have planned for October 16th to be the finalized funding recommendation date after consideration for the interviews. Our meetings typically are longer than 2 hours, so certainly on October 9th, there is the opportunity to begin discussions about funding as well. So we have that opportunity, and then pending finalization at our October 16th meeting. If we do or do not need to schedule extra meetings, that will take place, and the city council is scheduled to review these recommendations in November and make decisions on those funding recommendations in November, which will still set applicants up to receive their contracts in January for the beginning of the 2026 funding cycle period. Questions about the timeline? As a reminder, please by the end of the day tomorrow, have all of your scoring and budget tools, less any adjustments that may need to be made after interviews, so we can have that information ready.
So we can adjust them after the interviews.
Yes, if the
Is
any
there some
interviews or
other-
materials impact scoring, absolutely.
Oh, there's
We'll have
just some on the one.
that. And we'll, Shannon has a few updates on the community and cultural events grant program.
Oh, I know this was a question that came up during the last LTAC meeting, and so kind of as part of thinking of the overall process for lodging tax, I did just want to provide an update because we've had a conversation with the council at the last council meeting. I know the deputy mayor was there and can certainly provide some additional updates from the deputy mayor's perspective. But the Commission on Equity did recommend moving forward with the community and cultural event grant program. And this is really to provide an opportunity for grants for community-driven events. The idea is that, we know as a staff, when we look at kind of our resources, we're very limited, and that planning for events takes a lot of capacity. But we also recognize that there is a need, from community members. This is something we heard as part of the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging strategic planning process, as well as other strategic planning process, that the community would like to see more community and cultural events here in Lacey. And so, one of the things we did was we took into account kind of those limited really resources that we have, and what could be some ways that we could help with some, dollars, but reduce some of the human resources involved. And so we looked at a couple of programs, and we decided to move forward with a recommendation of a community and cultural grant program. And so one of the things that we found through this process is that, it could create a better alignment for other grant programs, including lodging tax for, community focused events here in the city of Lacey. It also, like I mentioned, kind of helps us with that resource capacity. We wanted a way to do this that was transparent and equitable. So creating a standalone application cycle review, with the proposed review going through the Commission on Equity for recommendations, very similar to, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and then a final decision being made by the City Council. And also as part of that, having a tracking and reporting mechanism where we're, showing the community, what we're doing with those dollars and, how we're getting more events out there. One of the important things about this too, that we think is it's not just something, hey, that the city is, doing to do it, but that there really is community buy-in. There is a group that's leading it, it's sustainable, and that there's community support if you have an applicant who's willing to take this on. So we had a discussion with the council, and we are going to be returning to council on October 2nd to kind of follow up with that conversation.
It'll be helpful for people who don't apply for LTAC because of the $5,000. I think with these dollars, there might be less administrative issues for the people who do apply for them. And it's kind of more of a micro situation than what we're doing here in with this body. So I think it could help out a lot of your smaller events. I'd like to see the haunted 5K. I know there's several other entities. I think there's several other entities who would benefit from this, but maybe they don't have a nonprofit status, so they'd have to be sponsored by a nonprofit.
Yeah, so that was a good discussion with the Commission on Equity. Was when we were originally contemplating this, we had written you have to be a 501c3, and that was something that was identified as a barrier, for folks. And so what we determined was you have to be that or have a fiscal agent who meets that criteria. So they could partner with a nonprofit who meets that and continue to put on that event.
And again, this is funded by the LTAC dollars?
No, this would be completely separate from lodging tax. This would be general fund dollars.
Got it.
We found some dollars that weren't being fully used. So it looks like we should be able to convert some of those to do this program.
Would it be a similar process to this where they apply, go through an interview process, and then get awarded?
Yeah, so the idea is, and we looked at lodging tax. We also looked at our human services grant program and our neighborhood grant program. We kind of did an internal audit of wanting to be, consistent with how we were doing this, but also getting that transparency and that equitable kind of threshold. And that's not to say our others don't, because they do. We do a really good job of being transparent and going through these processes. So the way it would be proposed, very similar to lodging tax. There'd be an application window, likely 3 to 4 weeks. All of the applicants would be reviewed first internally by staff to make sure that they meet the eligibility criteria, including that nonprofit status, or if they have a fiscal agent or sponsor. And then also making sure that there's no ineligible activities going on with those potential uses of dollars. And then once they meet that threshold, they would go to the Commission on Equity to be reviewed in a very similar process to what's being done here, where the Commission on Equity could invite applicants to provide an interview, and then the Commission on Equity would make a recommendation to go to the City Council.
Who makes up the Commission of Equity?
Commission on Equity is appointed by the Lacey City Council, and it's
council, okay.
community members who live in Lacey or the Lacey urban growth area, and we also have one Lacey Youth Council member.
Very cool. I thought you were asking us to do that. I was like,
One of the potential direct impacts to this committee would be applicants who don't necessarily have a direct or substantial tourism impact, which is the intent and requirement for use of lodging tax funds, may be eligible meet the criteria for community and cultural events. As we know, we get a lot of really great events, activities, applications through lodging tax, but unfortunately, they don't all have the same capacity to enhance and promote tourism. So this is an opportunity for some of those less tourism-driven activities to still receive support from the city for funding. their events that are equally as important, but just are more community based.
This is Lacey specific, right? Not
Yes.
Olympia or.
Correct. For funding for, this project, again, you would have to show a Lacey or urban growth area event connection. But I think, like Sadie was just mentioning there, again, this is another alternative, an option, and just to keep that in mind as we continue to go through this process with the city council, and we'll provide any updates if the city council decides to move forward with this program.
In my
What's the
opinion,
criteria? Is there like, they have to be a cultural or?
Yeah, so, basically, the kind of first criteria they have to hit is they have to, be free for the community members to attend. It has to be something that has, broad, kind of, attracts broad folks. And it really improves our comprehensive planning and our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging strategic plan.
so in my opinion, this group has demonstrated the need for this program. Last couple of years, we've taken chances on some of the smaller events and smaller entities who really just want to do something in the community. And so, and it paid off, I think, at least a few good times. So between these dollars, the human services grant money, which is a pool of 300,000 people apply for, and now these new dollars, if I'm really hoping it works out really in such a way that, maybe in subsequent years, we can do more than 25. But this year, we're doing 25 because there's people who just can't meet the criteria of this. So, an extension.
Big but, let's say that this doesn't work, can we dip into it?
Are you
And I-
applicants or?
No, I'm really hoping that it does work. I'm just saying, extra dollars is always good, and we can do a lot of good with those extra dollars.
Yeah.
This capacity.
Typically, when we started the human services grant, it was a $300,000 pool, and I think we got more than $300,000.
Oh, well, absolutely. We got close to $1 million.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
Very nice.
Similar, just like this committee sees, there's over $300,000 gap in lodging tax revenues versus funding requests in this year alone.
Can we use some of that towards the rack too? Lessen the burden on us.
right.
And I think the answer to that question is no, this is specifically for putting on events. Again, focused on,
You're only getting 25. We don't want
Yeah.
to.
I know.
It's just 25. So.
And I do want to highlight too, just to add on that this was something that wasn't, identified as a broad kind of theme in the diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging strategic plan, but it was also something specifically that the city council prioritized as part of the Commission on Equity's work in 2025. And so now we've gone through that process and brought it back to council, and council will make a determination here shortly, and we'll get you all an update.
Nice.
It came to council this past Tuesday night. Typically on work sessions, we try not to take action. So it got pushed to this
I got
upcoming
front
Tuesday.
page of the paper too. You got on the front page of the paper too.
Did we? I did not know that.
The electronic, did you see it?
But not for this item.
No, for your discussion about parks.
Correct.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, thinking of this, and you were mentioning the rack, I was thinking about our facilities. I know since in the last year, the museum has moved into a new space. Would it be good to learn about that? And this,
I'll bring that to
yeah,
this
I mean,
agenda.
I've been gonna stop by there and I just haven't yet, but
Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
recommendation for an interview to hear an
Yeah.
update, is that what I'm hearing?
I didn't even know they moved.
yeah.
Yeah.
they moved
Yeah, right next to, where
right
the,
off of 6, isn't it? Right
yeah,
off-
where you get the Euros at, that place?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mediterranean, what's it called?
Oh,
Oh,
Sephora's.
yeah.
Thank you.
There it is. Yeah, the Office Depot. No?
Across the
Yes.
street.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
Across the street.
Okay,
They
not sure.
currently aren't open yet, but are opening shortly. But I think this could be something, if you all are interested in learning again, kind of what their activities are. This would
Very cool.
be you could bring them in for your 10th interview.
Number 10, 48.5 is what they're asking.
So what I thought was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I hearing consensus that bringing the Lacey
Yeah.
Museum in for an
Yeah.
update on activities and expanded activities.
Where were they before?
Down by the
It
depot.
was kind of off the beaten
It's
path.
down by the
Pacific,
depot. Off of, was it Pacific or Lacey Boulevard?
Yep.
For the fire.
By Pope John.
Oh.
In that area.
You wouldn't have noticed it if you
Yeah,
didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
By
Oh,
Lake Lois tucked in.
oh, it's like behind there.
Yeah.
Oh,
You had to know it was there
I
or
never
have a
went
friend.
there, so.
Yeah, yeah, so this is much better.
Yeah, we're in transition.
Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, right down the road from that,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, I can walk there.
We will add them to the
Okay.
list for interviews.
Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our agenda for today. Our work's cut out for us for this next couple meetings. 70 minutes worth of interviews,
130 minutes.
130 minutes. So,
Give or take.
and please don't forget, Sadie needs your stuff done by tomorrow at 3 o'clock,
In a day's,
and the day is fine.
unless of course your day ends at 10 p.m.
Wait, but didn't we already turn those
Yeah.
in?
She still has to drive back to Montesano.
If you haven't
Yes.
already turned it in,
Yes.
please turn them in.
okay.
So-
Yes,
so
if
the-
you do not already have that, recognizing again the extended application period, getting those last two in, and I will confirm that it is available and accessible online.
I didn't hit the refresh button, so I don't know if it would pop there.
Yeah.
I will double check.
I
There's
found
other
it
items.
too, so.
Okay, well, with that, then we will call this meeting adjourned. At 4:16. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, you guys said that usually it doesn't end this quickly, and the last.
Wait.
Give time.
We just become really efficient. But yeah, it's gonna get long,
And we're missing a member today too. so-
right?
I just recording stop, correct, Paul?